I think when Huni was in Europe, he was one of the top laner that I can say actually learn back then a few things. Over my, in my entire career, there isn't that many top laner where I can say actually learn things. Most of the times right now you learn things, but it's not so much individual things. You already know, it's more oh, this guy, they are doing this together, it's more oh, they play together. And what I liked is that both Huni and me are creative players. So I could actually learn a few things from things that you would be doing. So yeah, I just like his style of playing the game. I mean, I don't know exactly how it is right now, but from back then at least, I like the style that he was playing the game, and I could implement that in my style as well because it was just really similar as we are both creative. Yeah.
Welcome back to the State Farm Analyst Desk, and thank you for joining us as we set up our next game, Dignitas versus Immortals. Getting a bit of a run back of a very old EU top lane matchup, Huni and sOAZ in the Rift.
5 years later, compared to when they were the two best European teams that we had probably seen up until that point, before G2 came onto the scene. They were duking it out, that million-plus viewer final that they had. It was crazy, and now it's 5 years later, North America, they get to do it again.
Yeah, now they're in North America. But yeah, man, back in Europe, this was 2015 during the lane swap meta, and it was really interesting because sOAZ talks about Huni being creative, and I remember watching both of them during this lane swap meta, because if you don't remember, Europe was the trendsetters for lane swaps when it went to Worlds, just saying.
Just saying.
But Huni and sOAZ were the ones that were kind of reinventing how to do the swap. So every week or so, there'd be kind of a script where we're gonna go like this, they're gonna go like this. But whenever you'd play against Fnatic or Origin, one of them would swap up how to play it, and then you go learn, and you're all right, well, I guess we gotta change how we swap now because of how they're recreating how to make this play. So I definitely respect both of them, and it's pretty interesting that they're back in North America playing against each other now.
Yeah, we had some experience against that when Huni first came over, joined Immortals.
Creativity has always been a part of his career.
Ran away with it.
He was in my Frankenstein brain, see?
Exactly.
I had reason.
He goes better Frankenstein.
So for all intents and purposes, Huni is not a traditional top laner because he is willing to, look to define or even break the meta or the status quo. But how does that come into play here when we're looking at Immortals versus Dig?
Well, I think Immortals wants to target him a little bit, kind of like what they did to Someday when they played against 100 Thieves. They camped him, they got a couple kills, they set sOAZ up to be a big force in that game on Cho'Gath, who they could just never die again. And I think that's a similar approach here, where Huni's a big focal point for Dignitas' early game. I want to see Immortals kind of go after and attack him and set him behind.
Yeah, I mean, I will say Huni probably will fall for that bait more than Someday would naturally.
That's true.
Just because of Huni's play style. However, I remember the Immortals 100 Thieves game. That was the first time we saw Xmithie gank top. Because before that, on the analyst desk, we were all right, they're not going to go top. Something's going to be so much fun. And then within 5 minutes, we're just sitting there I'm glad no one was recording that.
Yeah. Right.
So I think Dignitas is going to be able to predict that. This is kind of where their first play usually looks like.
Okay.
So I don't think that he's going to fall prey to it. I hope. And I'm pretty sure he's going to die now. I said that.
Yeah, exactly. He'll look to prove you wrong, but cover the top lane may be a viable strategy here for Dignitas. I do want to borrow a game, though, from Kobe and Cap from this week's edition of This or That. We're doing our own analyst desk edition. Okay. So what is the bigger discrepancy? The discrepancy between Grig and Xmithie, or between Froggen and Eika?
Oh.
This or that, baby.
This is a tough one.
If you're unsure about the rules of this game, basically here's how it works. You two are tasked with choosing either this one or that one. Does that make sense?
Wait, what happens after this?
I'm going to go with...
Let me break it down one more time.
Yeah.
Are you ready?
This one or that one.
Do we need to be synced? I never watched that show.
Right, yeah.
Do we have to say it
both at once?
All right.
3, 2, 1,
this one.
You both said that! You failed!
Hey, I asked you to re-explain it.
Look at them. It says that,
it's not
and
written.
the red arrow is pointing right there at that. I'm so disappointed in you, but
I
you
disagree.
still have to defend your pick.
All right.
Of that.
So I'm gonna go ahead and say I don't think Grig's that bad. So the comparison here is Xmithie's really
good.
what's the word? Veteran
Good?
Sure.
Good veteran.
Really
experience.
veteran.
He's got a strong back.
Let's
we'll
go
put it
with
that way.
today.
Okay.
But I don't think that's like a requirement for jungler or anything like that. I just think it's like a great asset that he has.
Okay.
So I'm gonna say I think Grig can perform well in the jungle. So far in mid lane though, I'm not super convinced by Eika. And if like right now we've been talking a lot about mid lane meta and how important it is.
Right.
If I had Froggen on a team, I think I could carry a lot harder than if I was with Xmithie on a team.
That's it.
So that's
This is kind of
basically the
the
same logic I use, but I disagree with
You went
that.
the other direction.
It's okay to be wrong. Don't worry about
Xmithie
it.
has made how many finals in North America? He's won how many finals in North America? He's attended how many international tournaments in recent years? And Froggen?
Shouldn't you know all this?
Yeah,
if
I do
you're
know all.
voting
That's
for
why I'm
him?
picking Xmithie because
6 titles.
yeah, 6 titles, 0.
Most in North America. Tied for
Yes,
most, but it is still the most.
I guess that's
how many
okay.
world
America,
appearances?
pretty good.
It's not bad.
Since even all the way back then. I don't think. I think the gap is bigger between Xmithie and Froggen than it is between Grig and Eika, which is why I'm picking this because I think Xmithie has cemented himself as one of the greatest North American players of all time.
Yeah.
That's not what's on this side of the screen.
And neither of those people have cemented themselves.
No.
They're just
At
yet.
least
Of course,
not in North America.
hey, that's talking about those matchups in isolation. That, of course, is not the way the game is played. So we'll have to see what they pull out on the Rift today. I wanted to turn to one more question.
we
on
have
that
another?
round. No, this is not a this or that.
Okay, I'll get it
I'm
right.
sorry.
I think
I didn't mean to freak you out.
I thought he figured it out. It
that
should
you
be
have
perfect.
to do another
Can
one of
they,
those.
they're just both this.
No,
Just
this
point
is
to
just
this.
an honest question. Realizing that Immortals is currently tied for second in the standings, I want to ask definitively whether or not you guys think they are the second best team in the league.
Currently.
Currently, the second best team in the league. Yeah, we're not talking about aspirational TL when they get it all together.
Standings-wise?
Right now,
Or-
they're tied with FlyQuest, but are they actually the second best team?
Like,
in
we're
the
talking about skill-wise, second best team.
Immortals, yeah, are they the
I would-
second best team in the league right now?
I think no. And
No.
I think it's, like people are going
You
to call me a
hesitated there.
TSM apologist, but I do think TSM is our second best team. Even right now, they have lost.
So
more.
you're not even going with the team that they're tied with?
No.
That's very interesting.
No,
Cool.
I don't believe in FlyQuest either. If that's what you're getting at.
Yes.
I also predicted against FlyQuest later in the day, which might tip my hand at that thought.
enough.
But I think TSM is really good. Yes, they've lost some games against some of the people that we're comparing them against, but I still have a feeling like they are, and maybe it's just like I'm projecting into the future. I can't separate it, but it does feel that way to me.
All righty. Well, while we continue to argue over who is the second best team in the league, Immortals is going to try and prove it to us once and for all as the teams load into Champion Select. Freaking Jat, take it away.
Thank you very much, Dash. I am Freak. And to my right is a literal IPL champion, Joshua Jat Leesman.
IPL 3, the third one.
The third
More
IPL.
important than the first two.
That's true, because
Yeah.
League wasn't in the first two.
And it was before the fifth one, so that was probably also better.
At the time, it was more important as well. Great Trundle and Udyr player to our right here. Either way, we got a battle up at the top half of the standings. Dignitas at 4-4, Immortals at 5-3, tied for second, and they can stay ahead of TSM if they can pick up a win here right now to close out their first round robin at 6-3 if they win this one.
Yeah, I mean, Immortals, every week I go into it and I look at their schedule and I say, could they be 7-3? And it's like, well, you never know is what ends up happening. But with this Dignitas game in front of them, there's so many games this week in the LCS where the teams are very close in the standings, and I'm hoping for a little bit more clarity afterwards, but what usually ends up happening is they just get closer and closer together.
Yeah.
So the fact that Dignitas is one game behind Immortals probably means Dignitas is going to beat them, so they become tied.
Yeah, it's a really, really tight race out here. Aside from the very top end of C9 and the very bottom end of CLG, you've got 2 games separating second from 9th here in this league. It's very exciting. Aphelios is first picked. John's going to play that one, his 4th pick on this champion, doubling anything else. Xmithie locks in the misfortune that Altec had yet to play.
Yeah, Altec has been really successful for most of this year.
Yeah.
It's one of the big reasons, along with Xmithie, for a lot of Immortals' success. I'm also kind of happy to see Ornn so highly prioritized. I said last week on my podcast JLXP that I think every team should just pick Ornn. Like, if it's available in the draft, maybe a champion like Soraka should be above it, but the fact that you can play it in top or mid lane, it can wash most laning phases and then scale well later, means you should just do it. So I agree with Zabutine's early draft for Immortals.
Looks good so far, and a second tank might come through here as well. It's not Xmithie on Sejuani duty as yet. It's the Nautilus coming through on the bottom lane, so an aggressive bot lane is here. Right, Nautilus MF can do a whole lot of damage. The ult combo, pretty good as well. They are not wanting for engage here, Immortals.
Yeah, and aphromoo being on Thresh will give a little bit of extra mobility for Aphelios, but it's not nearly the type of protection that we've seen earlier in the year with like a Braum or a Tahm Kench pairing, so it's still possible for Immortals to attack that. And something that's kind of weirdly happened in this week of LCS drafts is, I'd say in the first 4 weeks, you'd usually see a jungler picked in phase 1, but we keep seeing both teams not taking it here, maybe because of increased priority on Ornn, so people are locking in an extra solo laner early on, which pushes the jungle later. So we can see a bunch of jungle bans coming here in phase 2.
Yeah, it makes me feel like teams in general consider that there's a very wide A tier of junglers, where you can throw away 3 bans at the jungle, and it's like, it's fine, there's still something almost as good. And by comparison, it means that, you know, top laners who are good into Ornn is very shallow, and AD carries as good as Aphelios is very shallow, and supports outside of Nautilus very shallow. And so, you know, I think that does make sense if they're really kind of picking for optimum power.
Yeah, with the Syndra ban by Dignitas, I do wonder if the Sejuani does get picked here by Xmithie, since they banned away Olaf, which is something that can kind of run over to Sej early. A lot of options still up, though. You can try and blind a power pick mid, or you can pick your jungler here, but knowing Xmithie.
Yeah. Back at Sejuani, this is before 10.4. The center hook buffs are not in on this patch they're playing on right now, but we know we're going to see a whole lot more of her, probably in the ban phase, in next weekend's games. But Sejuani is in. Very, very big front line, right? 3 gigantic beefy tanks ready to dive forward. MF can do plenty of damage in the back line, and we're going to see if Eika can put out damage himself. Should be possible.
Dignitas needs to make sure they get a little bit of damage. They can just take the Jarvan. They're trying to match with some early ganks for Grig. I'd say their composition does have the ability to shred through frontline. Mordekaiser, as a Juggernaut, can be an incredibly high damage champion. Usually builds the Leandries early, is good against a group of tanks. And then Aphelios, once he hits 3 items, can heavily shred tanks. So they don't really have an issue in the DPS department. I think it leaves a lot of flexibility here for Froggen's pick.
All right, gonna go to Orianna here.
Yeah, this is going to be his 5th Orianna game in 9. So by far his most played pick. He's currently 2-2 on it. And I have really mixed feelings on his Orianna, where I know he's really good at it, and he almost always wins lane. But this is going to be like my personal opinion. I don't necessarily like him on Orianna right now, because so many of Dig's games go late, and the late game reliability of Orianna is too low for me. I would rather see him just play Victor, because he's a talented enough laner that he's going to be able to power up, and that damage would be more reliable. But we know they clearly have a preference for Ori. It's now the 5th pick, and it's matched with a Corki, so we're clearly looking to go late game in that mid lane.
Well, talking about preferences there, like I just played it last week. They did lose, but he went 3-1-1. I really am a big fan of Corki in the current patch. I think he's very, very strong, and you mentioned going late. I mean, they definitely do need reliable damage and magic damage to fill out this team composition. Otherwise, Mordekaiser gets invincible with a bunch of armor stacking. So I think it's the right pick for the situation, and I think Eika performs well on the champ.
Yeah, it's going to be fun to track that mid lane as we move in. Like, how much can Froggen win that lane by, and what can he make happen with that pressure? Because the games where it hasn't worked for Froggen's Orianna has been up 20 CS, but doesn't take mid lane tower, doesn't make the successful roams. It's like the cookie cutter criticism of Froggen sometimes happen when he's on this pick.
All right, we'll see if he can get his way out of the lane and get things to happen for this squad. Dignitas and Immortals 1 game apart as they load into the Rift here, game 3 of the day of the LCS. Immortals tied for 2nd, hoping to push through and above FlyQuest with the win here. Dignitas can kind of tie up for 3rd if they can grab this one themselves, and it's going to be exciting to watch who can do what. Probably thought that Froggen was mid-diff in this game, more so than anywhere else, but Mark said it was all about the jungle difference, and that Xmithie, we already know he's one of the very best players in NA of all time. That is not up for debate. Will he carry his team yet again? As Immortals sit 5-3 above many expectations. If they can take this one down, we are on the Rift here, the game.
And calling back that analyst test segment, I'm a little on the side of Prawley in the fact that I don't think Grig is as bad as a lot of people say. And it's not to say that Grig is a super top tier LCS jungler, but I want to see more of Grig taking control of the game rather than being like an errand boy who runs around from lane to lane.
Yeah.
That's where I feel like he's struggled in the past. But when he actually does go aggressive, I feel like he's been fairly successful.
Well, he's up tasked with fighting Immortals here in this one, and Avli standing by with Coach Zabutin.
Thanks, guys. I've got Zob with me. Immortals currently 5-3 coming into this game. I wanted to pick your brain on the current sentiment around Immortals. Wondering, how long can you keep up the success for?
I mean, as long as we keep working, it should be fine. I don't think that anyone besides C9 is showing an insane performance. Otherwise, you know, it's not like Immortals playing horrible, and I don't know, TSM, One on Fizz are playing amazing as well. We kind of all have to catch up to the the train. So at the moment, I mean, we have a small lead. It's not like we're like by far the second, but we don't play worse than any other team. So I don't really mind or care about what's said about the team.
Now, before we got into this game, the analyst desk was looking at skill discrepancy between the mid and junglers. What are your thoughts on that?
I don't know.
No skill discrepancy whatsoever, but Zob, I'll let you get back to the backstage, but good luck. Back to you guys.
Thank you very much. Yeah, definitely do have a very tight race here in the LCS as we close up the first round robin. 9 games in will be the record for most of the teams in at the end of the day.
Omnistone Corki again.
Love it.
I'll talk about Omnistone a little bit more throughout, but I wanted to touch on Zabutine's interview right there. And you and I were talking about this before the cast as well, of like, what do we make of Immortals at 5-3?
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of people really want to say like, oh, are they the second best team? Let's start defending them as like a top team in the LCS. I would rather just talk about like, celebrate the success of getting the 5 wins so far, and know that everyone in the LCS is very close. Like 1 win separates Immortals from Dig, and I think 2 wins separated 2nd from 9th in the LCS so far. So what I think Immortals has done well, as we actually see Grig going for a successful invade thanks to aphromoo. I'll get back to this point because we might have skirmish in the jungle.
Yeah, 3v3 going on right now. Nice little snipe. They're going to find that hook as well. A lot of damage to knock, and they push him back in as well. 2 more autos will kill him. He gets the heal, and he walks away just barely enough as a nice auto lets Grig steal away the Gromp, and it's a 2-camp lead. It's 3 minutes in, and Xmithie has killed exactly 1 camp.
And Freak, that's the type of aggressive Grig that I like to see, right? He's taking charge. His support is following Grig into the jungle rather than calling Grig down to his lane, really starving out Xmithie early in the game. But overall with Immortals, we'll see as this game kind of progresses. What Zabutine said kind of at the start of the year is, hey, I just got a bunch of really smart players, and even though we didn't have that much practice before the season, we're going to be able to win games that way. And I think that's been how they found a lot of their success, and if they are to continue winning, it's about making sure they can get to these mid and late games with win conditions intact so that their experience and smart players can find their way to victory.
And so far, it's been pretty good for them, right? Immortals 5-3, and on the Dignitas side, of course, 4-4, and looking very good right now in this early game. Is finally Xmithie gets his recall off, gets some control wards, and tries to get some vision and stuff done. Grig, though, gets the top scuttle now as well. Level 4 has a 2-level lead, and gonna look to maybe stop his opponent at Krugs. Yeah. Top is pushing. Huni's been shoving pretty much permanently there, and Grig, does he EQ over the wall? Yeah. He goes for it. The smite comes down, though. That is some XP on Xmithie.
Might just kill him.
But he is flash plays the flash E, but he's gonna get the auto attack in, and first blood in the opposing jungle. Dignitas will not be stopped.
There is Grig. At first, when I saw him making that invade, I think, hey, like, take the win. Your whole jungle is up. You're already ahead. Like, go farm your camps. But he predicted where Xmithie would be. He got him with the Scryer's Bloom. He had the top lane pressure through Huni. Like, Dignitas really coming out of the gate firing. So, like, watching where this blast cone hits, like, Xmithie knows that he's spotted, but he says, okay, I have smite. I should be able to just secure this, but Xmithie, dude, you don't have flash.
Yeah.
Like, sOAZ can't follow Huni in. He's just going to die there. So really nice aggressive play, and Xmithie kind of uncharacteristically doesn't respect the other jungler having the upper hand, and ooh, oh man.
I'm not sure if Afro jumped out of the brush or not. Hakuho gonna walk into melee range, puts the wards down. Gets the smite, gets the flay onto 2, but it's a 3v1. Afro's got to be careful. Here comes Froggen for his shield, but yeah, Afro gets himself killed, and Huni's in the middle of 4. But the damage on Xmithie, it's already 2 kills in. Finally, 1 traded back. This could be very nice. The knock is what he found. The ward is there. It's still a win for Immortals, 2-1 on that fight.
5v5 at Raptors.
Woo!
There we go. We know some people talk about the bot lane party, the mid lane or top lane party. No, the Raptor party. That's what we have going on. In this one, Grig does pick up another kill, and Xmithie does die again, so that gap will be even bigger. But the fact that there were kills going over Immortals does help them catch up.
Yeah, they never saw him, so Hakuho goes for the ward, and Afro's like, all right, we're going to bring the squad over. We've got time, let's go. But I think it's already there.
Ornn interrupted recall in order to get this off, and yeah, it's just a little bit later. If aphromoo could have waited a little bit longer, then it might have worked out for Dig, but Immortals definitely more grouped and on the same page for that play.
Eika comes down, grabbing 2 assists for himself. He is down 7 CS. It's Froggen getting better farm, which is exactly what you expect out of that player. But Eika getting the first move, gets onto the board a little bit there, as Grig, though, still feeling so comfortable in the jungle. He's still got pushing lanes. Bots crashing into the turret right now. And it's going to be a pretty easy Mountain Drake grab very early on in the game. 1,000 gold lead just in the jungle matchup. But the game is only 700 apart. So Immortals are winning in the other lanes on aggregate.
Yeah, so there's the 300 gold advantage for Altec because of the kill he was able to pick up. And Grig actually, 1,000 gold up on Xmithie. Only 1 level, actually, because a lot of the time has actually been spent in trying to deny. The big thing we'll now kind of need to track is, like, what's Jarvan going to be in this game? Because looking at the team composition for Dignitas, this might be a tank Jarvan game, right? You're going to have a bunch of damage coming out from your Juggernaut. Mordekaiser, Johnsun's going to scale up into the late game. But there's always that question when you have that early start on Jarvan, like, maybe I just go Warrior and try and hard carry. Because if you go Cinderhulk, this lead, while nice, actually won't have a huge amount of carry through.
Yep, totally agree. I would actually really not mind Warrior here for Grig and look at him try to knock people down. Of course, the other problem is his targets are so few, right?
Yeah.
There's 3 tanks and a Corki who's going to Valkyrie away from most of your plays. It's an instant cast spell. You're pretty much always going to dodge the EQ or dodge the ultimate. So as much as Warrior would be fun, target selection's horrible. Which is going to make that rough, and there's Cinderhulk done. I think we weren't really surprised by that. He gets it early, that can help maybe. We'll see how that, turns in, but yeah, not converting into much damage.
Something that, Cinderhulk goes through. He had the right gold breakpoint for it. Something Doublelift used to always say about Xmithie as they were winning 4 consecutive championships on Team Liquid was like, no matter what happens in the early game,
good lantern.
Really good lantern as bolt time gets almost nothing. Back to Xmithie is, no matter how bad the early game went, Xmithie could always make the next plan. So Xmithie could be like 2 levels down and say, yeah, at 8 minutes, I'm gonna be level 6 and I'll be able to gank bot. And then what happened? So like, yes, the early game went really poorly, but like, let's see how Xmithie finds his way back into the game. He's hard farming his jungle. That's clearly communicated to a lot of these players. You can see sOAZ kind of sitting in his turret. Altec and Hakuho just took that recall. How well can Immortals kind of weather this storm until Xmithie gets his ult and gets Cinderhulk?
Well, they weathered the storm, I guess, a little bit. Yeah. Still 1,000 gold difference is the problem. It's actually, the gold difference has been growing over the course of time. And that's going to be something that Immortals, of course, have to work back from. But Xmithie is, no longer being killed in his jungle. He's only 1 level down. Time to go until the Cinderhulk's done, of course, because he doesn't have those extra kills on himself. But as the Krugs come back up, thank you, 30-second respawn timer. And, gotta be ready to get more gold and XP on that camp.
Yeah, absolutely. Grig still scuttle control. And we also know from these team compositions, like, we're probably going late game with the way the Mordekaiser Orianna kind of function. You're not thinking to smash the early laning phase and tower dive with those picks.
Yeah, burning down some minions, though. Often it's hard to find the actual roam with the Corki package, but able to get very quick wave clear. This means Eika's got 20 seconds of freedom to do whatever he wants.
Yeah.
But he spends those 20 seconds actually just sitting in lane and then showing Froggen he's still there.
Yeah.
I don't know if I agree with actually showing you didn't roam when the river's not lit up. You can actually use that time to say, hey, maybe we have to make their bot laner play afraid. Maybe we have to, make them call Grig over just in case Corki really did show up with the 25 seconds of freedom. It's a really minor thing, but it is worth playing mind games.
I agree. I don't think you should actually go in the river because your jungler was in base, but just going into fog after you pushed out the wave, totally fine. Speaking of the river.
Yep. Junglers seeing each other. I believe they both knew what was going on. Xmithie blast cones away and stays on his side of the map as Grig looks for him and can't find him just yet. But yeah, nothing too big picked up. The mid lane ward was killed off. That was nice by Froggen. Got the push again and killed the control ward. Jungle being around, obviously, important part of that one. As bot is pushing it again. Pretty equal CS down there. Very small leads to Altec. The kill as well as the slightly extra farm. But a little bit of a worse item break point, right? Did go for Berserker Greaves. I do like the movement speed. I think it's a very efficient buy, but not as much attack damage as Johnsun has.
Looks like we might see a Rift bot. with Drake coming up in 50 seconds, Grig didn't want to have that sit in his pocket. This is not going to be a turret-breaking rift, so it'll be one of those two-plate rifts. Likely. Yeah, they're going to try and give all the gold to Johnsun, and then he's out of there.
Yep. So one thing that changed, because last year it wasn't like this because someone sent me video of it not happening.
Okay.
If you summon Herald, you are automatically eligible for turret plate gold.
And that's why Grig got 120 and
Yeah.
Johnsun got 120, because two plates were taken and they split.
Right, because Johnsun was in range for the local, and Grig was just in the extended I helped range. But I know like a year or a year and a half ago, like someone sent me video of LCS where the gold lead didn't go up when they like summoned a Herald and AFK'd, and the jungler didn't get 300 gold from the plate. So that got added sometime recently, and a little while ago I was like, oh, you have to make sure you're in range. Apparently not anymore.
Yeah, another 5-3 versus 4-4 matchup coming up right after this in terms of how close the middle of the pack in the LCS standings are going to be.
In general, an LCS game is 5-5 versus 4-3. I think roughly today, that's most of the records on display. I guess literally half because of the 4 games. But regardless, it's still Dignitas feeling very good. And I honestly credit a lot of this to the early invades from Grig back 2.5 minutes into the game. It's still paying fruit because Immortals can't get the control back. And now actually a potential play. They landed in, they play him backwards, and Hakuho got to make the long walk away. The flash got him nowhere, not over the wall, and Froggen is on the board of the kill.
And they nicely handed that kill to Froggen, holding auto attacks down the stretch. And Freak, I agree with you. The early lead has just kind of frozen there for Dignitas, and it's allowed them to control those 2 dragons and the Rift Herald. A lot of that had to do with pushing lanes. And again, it's like they just have river control. So there's no vision in the river for Immortals. Not an effective flash from Hakuho.
No.
He was hoping to be able to flash and then dredgeline, probably, but really now, that's just a flashless support to try and pick on.
They might target him yet again as the gold grows to a 1,700 lead, plus the 2 Drakes. Dignitas definitely taking care of business, and I think they really need this. They started the season, I should say, 3-0, and then immediately fell to 4-4 afterwards. And it's like, okay, well, you know, they started out as such a heavy favorite, and people were like really ready to believe in the Dignitas hype train. And then when they dropped 4 of 5, it was like, okay, well, maybe we shouldn't be on the hype train, but they're looking very good here.
They really are. And every Dignitas game is like an update on our understanding of team strength. So like, if you can try and remember which teams we thought were strong coming into the season, as we see in Invade, I might get back to this. Okay, which teams we thought were strong heading into the season, and you look at their first 3 wins, it's like they beat EG, they beat Liquid, and they beat CLG. The first game against CLG, like, CLG was a 3rd place team in summer.
Yep.
So we're like, hey, great win. EG, they were talking about how great their bootcamp was and how they were looking to be in a top 3, top 2 team.
MVP jungler.
Yeah, exactly, with Svenskeren. And then Liquid, Liquid, 4-time champions. Sure, they didn't have their starting jungler, but they still have 4 other top-tier players. So we're thinking, damn, those 3 wins by Dignitas, so amazing. We evaluate CLG, EG, and Liquid now, and we think, hey, maybe those teams weren't amazing at the start of the year. Then losses to FlyQuest, TSM, Cloud9, and Golden Guardians with a win against 100 Thieves. And here we are at 4-4, I think with a much more accurate understanding of Dignitas being a solidly middle-of-the-pack team with aspirations to reach into the top end.
And hey, aspirations to be in the top end. I mean, Immortals right here, right? Tied for second as a squad, and Dignitas can absolutely take them down here. The gold lead has jumped now to 2,000. They are steadily growing more and more and more of a lead.
Hello.
We were singing the Cloud9 accolades of their, 2-ish thousand gold lead in the early game. That's exactly where Dignitas stand right now. I mean, Dignitas playing the early game as a Cloud9 average early game, which is incredible.
Yeah, they haven't relented their early pressure. They had that one kind of ill-advised fight at the Raptors, but Xmithie, this is the point where he's got Cinderhulk and a Sej trying to get back in the game.
Finds a knockup, he's gonna find a stun sooner to aphromoo. Here comes the setup, here's the follow-through, and it just keeps barreling down. Ornn on top as well, sOAZ finds the knockup, Eika finds the kill, and bot lane's in shambles.
Yeah, so they're gonna break this bot lane turret. Froggen heavily pushing in mid, Grig taking Rift Herald number 2. It looks like first turret bonus is gonna go over to Immortals though, which is a win.
Nicely done right there, and it gets the game a whole lot closer. Less than 1,000 now separating the squads, as Grig is able to grab the second Herald of the game and maybe crack top with that as Huni continues to push on. He didn't burn his TP to join, just going for the damage here, and it's not quite going to die without Herald, but it is going to get low.
Yeah, Huni did have teleport there, but you could see that was definitely a kind of a sneaky play there by Immortals. You don't expect to have the 0-2 jungler flanking behind your turret as the Corki and the Ornn come in, but that's a well-coordinated Ornn play with the way the map was going.
All right, stay tuned for Bio for us to talk about it. 5-4 first half of the split for TSM. Maybe not quite as good as they wanted, but honestly, as we break the end of the day, that could very well be a tie for second for them, which position-wise seems pretty awesome. So we'll see what that looks like, and we'll have more thoughts from him after the game. Otherwise, though, we've got a pretty tight win here, 1,400 gold difference. Immortals tying up a little bit with their bot lane pressure, and Trinity Force done for Corki is a very important power spike, and just in time because the Cloud Drake's in 30 seconds.
Yeah, Cloud Soul. Not. Just trying to think, like.
I think it's big on Mord.
Oh yeah, it's actually super big on Mord in terms of Huni's ability to carry the game. I think the underrated part of Cloud Soul is just the 10% movement speed.
Yeah.
Like just actually zooming around the map. It's going to be really hard for Ornn to actually detonate a lot of his brittles from like his W when the other team has 10%. Like the Q-E combo suddenly isn't nearly as reliable when the other team has Cloud Soul.
Yeah.
But it's about the fight before then.
Well, there's the fight right now, and Grig is just stun-locked forever. Shockwave only gets onto one, and a great Lantern pulls him to save to Hakuho. He's got to run, it doesn't go far enough, but 1 for 0 so far. Dignitas, they pulled him at the end of the death realm, but he's able to flash over the wall. The circle is just big enough. That's going to time out. He's going to get to safety. Oh! Yeah, he had the package, so he's okay, but still a little interesting. There's the ult on top. They found a nice little route, but Altec is going to be safe as well. Now the re-engage 4v5, but Immortals want this one. Huni dropped low. A great hook comes in. Oh! And Eika's gone. They found even more! Aggression from Dignitas finds a 4 for 0.
Well, there we go. They could have their cake and eat it too. They're going to get the third Drake as well as being able to drop Rift in mid and crack that for extra gold onto Froggen. Crucial stopwatch check during that fight. 2 quality stopwatches come out from both aphromoo and Grig, which buy enough time for that fight to turn around hugely in favor of Dignitas.
And here we go, breaking the game open. 4,000 is the gold lead. They've doubled it in the last 3 minutes. Bot lane's gonna fall, make it 4,500 as Huni clears the wave. He's building damage. His dash is 2 seconds. He's really ready to go. And Dignitas are showing absolutely no signs of slowing down.
Yeah, so watch this fight one more time. They know Grig's Flag and Drag is down as you go on a control ward, so they say, hey, let's engage on him. Actually get a pretty good stun lock, but the stopwatch does come in before that brittle is detonated that might have killed him. Perfect Lantern for him, and then we're just buying time for the shockwave to come through. Good flash by Xmithie on the top end, and then Immortal says, hey, let's re-engage. We have a Corki here. Let's go. But it is, as you mentioned, a 5v4. And Grig has managed to get so much of his health back. No one really remembers Grig has his ultimate still. Flag and Drag, comboed with Death Sentence into a 2-man ultimate.
Yeah.
And Huni's Mordekaiser's having his passive ticking that whole time. Really just a lot of patience by digging that fight.
And look at that, 7,800 damage out of Huni. Beautifully done right there on the Mordekaiser. The aggressive build definitely paying off on that one. I did his best to pitch in, but definitely not enough. 4,600 did not knock down any of those health bars there. And now as we reset on the map, we are just over 3 minutes away from Soul Point. Dignitas lost a turret. They've lost a couple of kills in fights, but are so far ahead of Immortals right now. Looking to go 5-4 in the first round robin.
That would be good for them. I don't think Froggen got the local goal for that, but also with the current state of the minimap, can totally understand why he would want to run away holding that 200 gold bounty on his head.
I gotta say, Huni's definitely doing a very aggressive build. He's actually going third offensive item. We don't often get to see into Riley's third so quickly. You really, a lot of the time, do see like a Zhonya's come through or a Spirit Visage especially. And with Corki having a lot of the gold, you know, that wouldn't even be a horrible choice, but yeah. Huni's really trying to just kill things. And, you know, he's got enough CC on his team that it probably works out, but a very Huni build coming through on the Mordekaiser.
Yeah, I really like the Nashers,
yes.
Assuming he's just going to be ulting tanks. Like, if he's planning on just going into a fight to ult sOAZ, I love it, because it's those types of melee, brawly stat checks that the Nashers has the most success in. If he's ulting like a Corki who might have Flash and Valkyrie up within the Death Realm, then maybe it's going to be a little more sketchy.
Ooh.
Okay.
You know what? He's fine.
Yep. Nothing to see here?
Yeah. Now, John, I have a question for you. What I just saw was Xmithie put a sweeper on, and it revealed the ward, and Altec attacked the ward twice.
Okay.
Hakuho walked up and killed the ward.
Yeah.
How much hatred does Hakuho have for Altec? To just steal the ward kill.
Well, none. Because you get double ward gold if one person sweeps and another person
Yeah,
kills.
but Xmithie was a sweeper.
Yeah.
Altec was shooting it down.
Yeah.
Altec was gonna get 30 gold. Hakuho was like, Nautilus auto, my 30
Oh,
gold.
sorry, I misunderstood. I thought you said
Okay.
Altec took, because you should always give it to
Yeah,
the
Altec's
carry.
hitting it. Hakuho
Yeah.
walked up and stole his 30 gold, Jat.
That's one of those, like, trust depleting exercises. Like, he doesn't hate him, but the next time there's a ward, like, he's gonna wonder why his support's walking so close.
Yeah. It's like, hey, buddy.
Yeah.
See, Johnsun gets that 30 gold. Afro went nowhere near that one.
Yeah?
Yeah, see? Bot lane's feeling a lot better on the one side. I think it's bot synergy difference, you know? It's,
Maybe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, that's what it is. All
Yeah,
right.
Hakuho known for his greed.
Absolutely. I mean, he's got one kill. I mean, how dare you?
Yeah.
Yeah. 1/3 kill share and support. You better be playing Zyra. Well, Huni joining the squad there
I
to the
mean,
top
he
side.
might have been trying to farm vision score. That could be like in the
Ooh.
back of his head.
48 vision score. Highest
Yeah.
in the game.
I know.
Selfish.
Yeah, there we go. Shout out to the stats team as well, giving us these new vision score graphics.
I appreciate you so much. Thank you. Yeah, when you call vision score selfish, that's when you know you've gone like you've tilted like to a full circle, right? You're just like,
Yeah.
okay. All right, Infinity Edge next up for Haku. I'm calling it now.
Cloud Soul in 30 seconds as
Yep.
well, so Dig trying to get mid priority. You can see Immortals trying to split the map as much as possible.
Oh, he's really screwed. Okay, nice stopwatch, but can there be a
Yeah,
re-engage in
he's
time? A
out.
flash, he's rooted, and a shockwave. There is no escape from Dignitas.
And they get the teleport from Eika, so it's not even like he was able to get a turret with this nearly uncontestable Cloud Drake coming up. I guess Ornn ult, Nautilus ult, MF ult has to be respected by Dig, but look at all the vision they're clearing. You can't really walk in there if you're Immortals.
No, no way.
They could walk to Baron. Dig needs to rush this and then run to Baron.
I mean, they can definitely have Huni solo that for free and then TP if he needs to. There's actually so much PvE damage on Mord. This is before the Mord jungle buff, but honestly, he doesn't have damage anyway. It's fine. That's going to be Cloud Soul picked up, no problem. And there's not even damage on Baron right now.
Good game by Dignitas.
Yeah.
Yeah. Obviously, you can lose with the Dragon Soul. It's not the be-all, end-all, but like a 6,000 gold lead, 23-minute Soul, like 2 good damage champions with Mordekaiser and Aphelios to kind of shred through the Ornn items. The Ornn spike is coming.
Yes.
By the way, you can upgrade the Infinity Edge or the Trinity Force on Corki, depending on where it is in Eika's inventory.
Yep.
Slot 1 is the thing that gets upgraded when Ornn clicks on you, and they can upgrade the Infinity Edge, which will be coming soon for Altec. So Immortals would hope to be able to get Ornn to level 14 so we can upgrade both those items, cash in about 2,000 to 2,500 extra gold of stats, and then maybe try a fight.
Yeah, that'd be nice. I mean, it would close the gold gap by about 1/3, right? Like that's what's really worth pointing out here. The gold gap closes by 1/3 if you can get those ornaments in. And we'll see if they can make that one happen. As we know, again, Corki is done with that. About 600 gold to go until Altec has his inventory the way he wants it. But it's Dignitas setting up around Baron, which fans know is a bit dangerous, as aphromoo is getting hit really hard. He's running out of health, and the flash is not enough. The heal is too late. Here comes the re-engage. 5v4 for Immortals. Ult's not going to land. Huni puts Xmithie in the death realm and can't find him. The circle actually overlaps with the terrain. That's ulti down. Can Immortals now find and engage? They've got the Xmithie ult still and bullet time over the top.
Nice pick there by Immortals. aphromoo could never get his Aftershock procced. He didn't have a flay really quickly as they came in to reduce that damage. Ends up burning both summoners and still falling. So that buys that time. Infinity Edge is completed. Altec looks like he's on a recall pattern.
Yep.
About to buy
Should
an
have
IE.
it.
Looks like that buys the time they needed.
Molten Edge is in. I think it's a good 30 attack damage for the IE. It's a big power spike. Corki has, by the way, very high ratios. The ulti, I keep calling it the ulti. It's the package, has a 1,000 bonus AD ratio. That is 300 package damage added from the Ornn upgrade. Not that you're going to stand in it for 5 whole seconds.
Sure.
But theoretically.
Yeah. Theoretically, Mordekaiser and Aphelios also kill Baron really quick.
Yes. Practically as well, as they're killing it very quickly. And the rest of the squad is zoning. Hakuho forced to run away. Xmithie, not quite marked, now seen. And it's Froggen flash away, afraid of the engage. And it means they're going to pull off. And they couldn't quite get the lantern pull back on a Grig, but still some poke.
Yeah, and I actually don't think that control ward sees the ward in the back of the pit either by Dignitas. Good effort.
Yeah.
It didn't seem like they had the perfect Aphelios guns to try that. I saw no white gun, which is the one that goes...
Yeah, red-white is probably ideal there.
Yeah. I'm really looking forward to next patch in Spectator, where we'll see both of his guns that he's currently wielding. That's on live on patch 10.4. Right now, I can like say, oh, he has Gravitum and Calibrum, but that's through like a lot of clicks.
Yep.
Oh, there we go.
All right, that's a green-white. Pretty good deck archetype.
Green-white's actually really good for river fights because you can stack up so many Calibrums with just your turret, then sniper shooting everyone. But here we go. Huni's just so aggressive.
Huni's gonna just go, Hakuho.
Yeah, he's just dead.
I don't think he's gonna live ever. He's not, he's dead. Here comes the engage now again. Look at the crowd control. It's already 3-0. There is no possible way Immortals wins this fight anymore. Eika is running, but there's the Cataclysm. Shockwave didn't do a whole lot of much, but Eika cannot get the damage down. Johnsun gets his 3rd kill of the game as sOAZ is forced to run away, cannot do anything but watch.
Froggen throws his shockwave sideways. Say, I don't even need this.
He does.
We're going to win the game anyway. That was the Cloud Soul Mordekaiser we talked about. Like, just training Hakuho instantly with all the bonus movement speed. What a ridiculously one-sided fight that was.
Yep, and in they go with the Lantern and the movement speed. I mean, it's all movement speed, right? They're running through the pit as well. That's got to add some on top, and they're ready to hit the Baron right now. Xmithie is alive, but he is just respawning from the base right now, and this almost certainly dies before anyone gets in range. And Dignitas already up 8,500 gold, about to make that 10K with a Baron buff over the top. Dignitas taking care of business.
Woo! Watching this fight one more time. Huni posturing aggressively because he knows the instant someone tries to jump on him, he's just going to ult. He's learned his lesson. Don't ult the Sejuani, she'll hop over a wall. So he ults the Nautilus, instantly kills him. And then, honestly, like Immortals, once Hakuho got ulted, they needed to bail. Because there's no way that Mordekaiser doesn't pop out at full health with extra stats.
Yep.
And they pop out right next to him and get absolutely obliterated. Froggen definitely thought he had the ball on Grig, had it on himself. Ends up sombreroing the air, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's looking pretty good overall, and looks like, Immortals have a blue buff, but Dignitas will not be working overtime out of this one. They are just way too far ahead. Elder Dragon is in a minute. That is, again, one that makes me nervous when I'm the winning team because its raw power isn't really tied to almost anything. It just is damage, kind of in flat values, and feels like it's a way for a losing team to get back in. So I would just say, okay, let's cede to the Baron buff the entire time. You got 2 minutes this one. Knock down bot tier 2.
Oh, sOAZ. Yeah, easily bot tier 2. Like, even the Elder Drake, look at the control ward setup that actually exists in the jungle right now. So if Dig falls back, it's almost so hard for Immortals. They're just dying. They're just dying.
Oh, that was just Aphelios turret hitting the turret and splashing, and then the ult came off over the top. So that's going to single-handedly zone them off of the bot lane. Mid's opened up as well. That's 2 inhibs down.
This could be a fight. Xmithie might just try and flank. I mean, you may as well.
You have to try. They got Package. They got everything they could possibly use. Here comes the play. They try to land the crowd control, but Package goes backwards to get away from some CC. Huni getting low, though, staying alive all the same. They send him yet again. Shot over the top. Lana gets him out, and Froggen finds that kill as Eika's dropped, and Hakuho is next on the chopping block. A double kill for the Orianna. Cataclysm over the top. Xmithie gonna be set up for kill number 3 without an issue. Triple for Froggen. There have only been 3 quadras so far this LCS split. Froggen could be set up for number 4.
Oh, stop what Froggen wants. He doesn't have cooldown.
Pull him back. Huni grabs one, but give him with sOAZ. Get him over there. Here comes the hit. Perfect timing for Froggen. And it's gonna go over to Aphelios. A triple for the Orianna. A game win in under 30 minutes for Dignitas. Absolutely beautiful.
They really just controlled that game from start to finish. Froggen also learning quickly to shockwave the enemy.
Yeah.
Nailed it in that last fight.
Only took 5 games.
Oh, come on.
I'm kidding, I know. He played really well.
Yeah, he killed Sven, and then he channeled that to kill all of the Immortals by the end of the game. But just, we asked before this game, Freak, about how close the LCS was and how naturally Dignitas is going to win this one against Immortals. But as these teams end up progressing, I'm interested to look at the post-match reactions to this one because every time Dignitas wins, it's Froggen finally has a team, and oh wow, Grig can actually jungle. And then when they lose, everyone just flames Grig. So I'm going to be, flex my Grig apologist a little bit here.
Yeah, go for it.
When he does well, people should call that out. And the Dignitas team had very strong pushing lanes that
All
were
three.
very well played around by Grig with constant invading, knowing where Xmithie would be, and that is how Dignitas got their early lead. So credit to the team for playing with the victory. I liked the builds, I liked the way they moved around and controlled Drake, but it did all start in the early game with those jungle invades by Grig.
Yep, winning from start to finish. Well done, Dignitas. When returned, the State Farm Analyst Desk are going to weigh in on that Dig win. Be right back.
Welcome back to the State Farm Analyst Desk after that victory for Dignitas over Immortals. Moving up in the standings to tie one TSM for a current second place. Biofrost here to join us to help break down this matchup. Bio, I want to get you in on a conversation that we started before the game, which in part was about the jungle discrepancy here. Xmithie versus Grig. Obviously, Xmithie is a very storied and talented, accoladed jungler. But the question was how this matchup would play out here. I want to get your opinions on the expectations before this match, before we dive into how it played out.
Well, Xmithie has been playing the LCS for a really long time, and a lot of people respect him. He was on Sejuani this game, which is a signature champion for a number of reasons. Yep. And I think Grig has been doing really well in Dignitas so far, but I would definitely, before the game, give the edge to Xmithie.
Right.
So in the actual matchup itself, J4 versus Sejuani, he could have opted for a Trundle against like tanks, but he actually went for Jarvan, which is like more of an early game jungler, and it was actually good to see him play out this game.
Right, with the counter pick, had the option of the Trundle, which would have been maybe the more standard go-to pick, opts for the Jarvan, which puts some onus on him to get work done early, and guess what? That's what happens.
Yeah, he did a great job. And it's important to note that it is a team effort to go and find these invades. You know, you see multi-man collapses to get Xmithie one behind off the Gromp. They force his flash and get him away from the experience, which is a pretty important part too. So that way, when they find him clearing on the top side later, he's still level 2 and doesn't have all his skills available to him. So it's super easy to kill him here.
Yeah.
Caught out on the Scryer. Go ahead.
And yeah, this is a great part because I like it. They go bot, and bot lane comes. Now he goes up top to fight him at Krugs, and then Huni's able to come. So I really like, it's not just, you know, the jungle support synergy or jungle mid. It's like everywhere he went, he actually got a laner to come with him. And I know a lot of laners aren't happy about leaving and giving up that sweet XP, but I do appreciate all the laners were like, all right, we're coming to help. Let's get this kill.
I'm sure that's got to feel nice. And this actually just, I'm glad to have you on the desk here, Bio, because it does seem to be somewhat a trend of at least the split so far. So much of the game right now is dependent on the willingness of the team to get out of the lane and help, you know, wherever it is on the map you're choosing to make the play. Whereas maybe metas of old did feel way more isolated to, you know, each lane as its own and just the way maybe the jungler affects that lane. It seems to be way more a team effort at every stage of the game now.
It's really a team game. Like, if you go for their buffs, you get the enemy jungler behind, and if you're playing like a pressure lane, that means you're not going to see the enemy jungler for a really long time, so you can play out your lane how you want. Since there's so many objectives in the game, like Dragon and Herald, you kind of want your jungler ahead, and to get you that advantage over the setup, for like Herald and Dragon, because there's just such big objectives in the game right now.
And while there does seem to be that reliance on the junglers in the current meta, you just saw on your screens, player of the game does go to Grig for his performance in this one. We heard Jack call it out in the post game, the Grig apologist, but he, you know, essentially saying, I think it is important to call out when this guy plays well because we are perfectly willing to call it out when he does not. Do you guys feel like this was the kind of performance that Grig should be proud of and we should be putting praise on him for?
Yeah, and I mean, I think, yeah, the Trundle option was there for Grig. So when they went for the Jarvan, I was like, I would have just put him on Trundle, but I'm really happy they picked the Jarvan and we're invading on it. I think if he was just playing this like farming style, I would have been really disappointed and been like, why are you picking Jarvan if you're gonna farm? Mm-hmm. So I really like he played towards that pick, and I think that's actually a weird thing in LCS. I don't see it as often as I want to.
And I think he continued to play well over the course of the game as much as we've hyped up the early game. In the mid game, the gold lead came close. You know, right? Dig did have their stumbles, and it became about a 2,000 gold lead again at around 50 minutes before he started finding more engaged opportunities to actually start ending this game.
Let's dive into the game-breaking play. It came 16:30 into the game, a 4-for-0 in favor of Dig. Aphro and Grig will come up big for the team.
Have to give some credit, of course, to Aphro to save Grig here and the rest of the team playing around him because he did EQ over the wall, which is kind of risky when clearing wards to start this fight.
Yeah, I wouldn't have done that.
But he has a lot of utility to help his team out. He had a stopwatch, and it baited the enemy team into kind of blowing all their ultimates on the first half of this fight. So then when they re-engage later, where Eika kind of gets caught out and there's this poking situation, it baits Immortals into being too aggressive, looking for this re-engage, and they're able to win this 4v5, or 5v4.
There's the hook, there's the Jarvan knockup. It's beautiful.
Yeah, and then the redirect with his ultimate as well there. Never use it in the first half of the fight, which I'm sure, you know, Immortals lost track of what cooldowns are up. When everyone's pressing their buttons, you just assume no one has ults anymore.
Yeah, that was a really confusing fight because it was over. As we saw, like, there was a moment where it's like, all right, kills are traded, and now the play's kind of over. And we saw Immortals kind of like chase in. And I'm guessing, I don't know, maybe Broadfrost, you have some more insight, like they wanted to keep the fight going to get some poke down because they were at 4v5. Why are they going to chase these guys into their jungle?
I think when you're actually playing the game, even if you're like as the 4 and you see something, you're like, maybe we can win this, you just feel really bad for like already losing the fight. Like, I can maybe understand that, but Immortals should really not be there still trying to win.
Indefensible. Don't ask me that.
I'm going to do my best to defend, and halfway through I've decided I cannot defend this play, so we're going to move on.
Yeah.
I do want to take a moment, zoom out, look at the LCS from a bit wider of a scope, because we are kind of crossing that halfway mark. Take a look at your standings. There's still a few games to be played in the first round robin. Of note, particularly, is FlyQuest at 5-3. So still haven't played that 9th game to maybe create some separation at 6-3 to definitively be number 2 in the first half. But again, before this game, we were talking about, is Immortals definitively the number 2 team? Well, by standings perspective, they are not anymore. But I'm going to come to you, Biofrost, as TSM begins to pick up steam and is also in that conversation. What do you feel about the relative strength of the teams in NA? Clearly, Cloud9 out in front, but Mark lovingly refers to the rest of the teams kind of as the soup in the middle. Are you guys like the cream of the soup at the top, or like where are you in the soup?
Hopefully we're the cream of the soup.
Okay.
There's just like a cluster of teams right now in the LCS where you just don't really know if they're good or not. You just have Cloud9 at the top, and everyone else is kind of just like, they have good games, they have bad games. You're like, are they good? Immortals, in all of their wins, I was kind of just like, I don't even know if they're good. They could easily be like 0-5 right now.
Yeah.
But that's kind of the case with every team in the LCS. And I think only one team in the LCS has like figured out their style right now, and it is Cloud9. So everyone else is kind of playing catch up. But I think towards the end, we're like almost halfway now. We're like halfway. Towards the end of the season, we'll find more teams like pick up some steam.
You mentioned styles and some of these things, and it's a little too early probably to start looking at 10.4, but if you've seen any of the patch notes, do you think this will change some of the teams' position in the standings where they can't play this new style that's presumably coming?
Yeah, I think every patch you get teams where like they just fall behind. They don't understand the patch. They're like, maybe this is good, but they end up playing it on stage and they're already like just not executing the right things or like picking the right stuff. So then in the next week, they're like playing catch up. They're like, oh, I can't play this.
So are you excited for Cinder Hulk coming in big? Is that something that TSM fans should be like, yeah, our meta?
Yay, Broken Blade on tank.
Yeah, Broken Blade building Sunfire. Yeah. Is that something they should look forward to?
Not really. Please nerf right.
Hey, you might get more jungle attention bot now, though.
That's true. If we have a lot of tanks top, then that means we get to come bot.
Could be range support meta, too.
There you go.
Probably not.
If Immortals is falling down a little bit, aside from yourselves, who would you call out as being your main competition for that current #2 spot behind C9?
I would say either FlyQuest or Dig.
Okay.
For sure.
All right, and what is it, with FlyQuest still having yet to play this week, what is it specifically about FlyQuest that you like?
FlyQuest does have a style where they have certain champion picks that they're really good at. It's just in their losses, they look really, really bad. So I don't know. It's hard to say. When they get going, they look really good. But when they're bad, they're
We're in North America. We deal in extremes here, right? It's either really good, really bad. No, never in between. Biofrost, thank you so much for joining us to break down this Dignitas victory. After the break, we jump into Game 4, FlyQuest versus Golden Guardians. We'll see you then.
Does he EQ over the wall? He goes for it. The smite comes down, though. That is some XP on Xmithie.
Might just kill him.
But he is flashless. The flash E, but he's going to get the auto attack in and first blood in the opposing jungle.
We can fight. Corki right now. Look. Corki. These two. Right now, right side. Good shit. There we go, boys. Good job.
The engage now again. Look at the crowd control. It's already 3-0. There is no possible way Immortals wins this fight.
There's down for you. It's okay. Hey, turn. Watch. We can go. MF no flash. So fast. Yeah, we're too fast. Let's end the game. Okay. Yeah. Nice job.
It's Jake from State Farm. Sounds like a really good deal.
Jake from State Farm at 3 in the morning. Who is this?
It's Jake from State Farm.
What are you wearing, Jake from State Farm?
Khakis? Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
When you're chasing greatness, just remember, it's not about what you say, it's about what you do.